Hey everyone, welcome to Defungify Podcast. Today we have Brandi and Isabella with Sacral Capital, and today we're going to be talking about women-led venture capital. Super excited to have you guys here today. How are you?
Great, magical as always.
I'm very excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, we have a lot of things to cover today, and so let's go ahead and start with both of your backgrounds. Brandi, if you'd like to start, just kind of give us an overview of how you got into what you're doing and how you got to where you are today.
I'll try and make it quick. It's a long, great journey. A lot of people say, oh, "Wow, Brandi, it seems like you've lived many lives already." I'm born and raised Gainesville, Florida. I was a professional dancer throughout my beginning of my life, and went to University of Florida. Went a year in ahead early because I was in an IB program for entrepreneurial studies. So entrepreneurship was always a passion of mine. It was my father's as well. And I wanted to be all types of things, from a marine biologist to a dance choreographer to an astronomer. So I was like, I love life a little too much. Let me focus on business and marketing, because then I can work in any industry with those attributes and wisdom. So then I was in real estate as well, leasing agent at a young age, and went down to Miami after I graduated and worked for a global PR, marketing, and ad agency, and they assigned me to all the Trump properties. A few years later, got Employee of the Year, and my boss became my mentor, and I helped me launch my own small firm. And about 5 years in, I received Formula One electric racing as a client, and that was my first taste of raising capital, because they said, hey, if you find an investor, let us know. I was hosting and producing an event for Steven Tyler from Aerosmith, his daughters, during Art Basel, and just so happened to be at my event a group of gentlemen, and my gut, Sacral, is why we call it Sacral Capital, led me to go walk up to these gentlemen and end up being the CEO of Gulf Oil of Mexico, and he ended up investing $50 million into Formula E, and I just loved the angle that I could apply my experience in PR, marketing, and branding and apply it to raising capital, because really at the end of the day, it's about creating a trust with your network and delivering what you say you're going to deliver. And I pride myself on that. I've only ever had referrals due to that. And so I kept going in the capital raising space. I then had a client come to me that was building energy efficient mining pods for crypto, but they needed low cost energy sources and not your traditional. And I took them on as a client to do their R&D and find them capital and do their marketing. And I came across what's called wasted stranded energy, or flare on oil fields. So I was the first to invent the idea to bypass flare on oil fields to power crypto mining pods. We ended up deploying to North Dakota and Alberta, Canada. And I crash coursed myself in blockchain Web3 crypto at that time. Then I went out to California, became managing director of a VC firm doing digital securities issuance, oversaw roughly 400 million in clients' capital raises there. And then I was like, okay, it's time to branch out on my own. Did investor relations and chief growth officer for a few companies as startups. And then 3 months ago, launched Sacral Capital. And we already have 11 portfolio clients that we're a growth advisor to, help them raise capital there, help them with their growth internally and externally. And Isabella recently came on with me, and she and I have just really just spearheaded and are really working well together, and happy to have another woman lead with me.
Yeah, I think that's my go, right? So my name's Isabella. I was born in Orlando, Florida. I study at the University of Miami. That's kind of where our worlds collided, me and Brandy's. I started doing social media about 5 years ago. It's something that I always was geared towards. I was making little videos on my iPad when I was a young kid. I just always liked making content, and in specific, building audiences. So I started doing YouTube and built a Brazilian audience there. I got about 150,000 subscribers. And then I switched to TikTok, where I got 500,000 followers there. And then I switched to Twitch, and I did a bit of gaming for a while. And then I also switched to Instagram. So I was hopping around platform to platform, but what I realized was that I have a love for building an audience. It's just the whole start up process of, um, creating a brand intrigued me so much. So I took those passions and have applied them into my personal life and what I do outside of school and studying finance. I worked for a Solidity Labs or a smart contract company for a while, and I did their marketing there. And they introduced me to blockchain and Web3 and really the whole world that I was unaware of. Um, when I learned about all of this new tech, I wanted to share my experience. So I did a presentation on blockchain at school for my business technology class. And that's kind of where Brandi heard of me. And this is how we met.
It's really important that the brands that we are helping raise capital for also have a digital footprint, and we guide them and advise them in that area. And Isabella is definitely spearheading that with our clients, and it's been great. And now we're about to launch a $2 billion
Yeah.
women-led fintech fund focused on women and founders that are in the Web3 blockchain and tokenization space.
Wow. Okay. So many questions. Where to start? So let's start with the fund. It's
Yeah.
just kind of a natural segue here.
Mm-hmm.
You touched on it a little bit. Um, can you give us? I guess let's start with like a timeline and then also maybe just a little bit more detail.
Yeah. So as I stated 3 months ago, launched Sacral Capital as a growth advisory and investor relations firm, and then I just started getting so much deal flow and realizing that and doing my research, and it's out there. Everyone knows that women-led companies only received 3% of 333 billion in capital that was deployed in the past 2 years. And I saw a niche for that. And it's not that I'm some ultra feminist or anything, but there definitely needs to be balance. Women-led companies perform 3 times better than the S&P 500. And then women-founded companies are outperforming the market with their value rising like 143% since 2020. So all of these different stats kind of led us over the past couple of months to go, okay, we should launch our own fund. In March, a woman named Katie Haas raised $1.5 billion for blockchain and crypto specifically. So when I read that article, I was like, if she can do it, I can do it. And I think women are paving the way for each other to see each other, succeed in different areas where we're passionate in, and that's, you're seeing that everywhere. And so, yeah, that's why we're here. And the timeline is end of January. We open up to LPs, and we're excited.
Wow, that's crazy. Let's touch on. You said that women-led companies perform better than the S&P.
There's a different reasons, and that is going to be one, because women are naturally able to handle situations that have pressure and multitasking in those type of environments. Not that men can't, but we have to show up a little bit with a little bit more empathy, so to say, right? And for instance, Citibank, they'd never, actually no major bank in the world ever had a female CEO until recently. Citibank announced CEO globally, a female. And they noticed in some research and reports that women are often hired to replace male CEOs when there is a catastrophe or something happening within the company. It's just, the data is just showing that. It's not that anyone's going, oh, let's hire a woman right now because we're having troubles. It just naturally happens because we show up with empathetic solutions. I think that's what really sets the tone there.
That's interesting. So in a way, would you say that empathy is a way to is a good way to solve a crisis?
It is. and emerging strategies as well. I feel that being able to listen to everyone within a company, listen to your consumers, your customers, your staff, and be able to grasp all of that information and create a path that is favorable for everyone.
Awesome. Okay, so let's do this for a second. Let's talk a little bit about, you'd mentioned deal flow. Um, let's talk about it from the investor side as opposed to the, I guess, the raise side, or the companies that are trying to, obviously as an investor, you are looking for deals, and that's essentially what you guys are providing. Um, so let me rephrase this question a little bit better. When you guys are going about your raise, um, or when you are raising for your fund, um, other than track record, what do you guys how do you guys approach investors?
So it I've built relationships with investors and funds and VCs over the past 5 years. Some of them I've never even to this day asked for capital from them, or if they would like to invest in my clients. I really believe that we need to start focusing on creating real relationships and friendships with them, because they're people just like we are. And you don't want to just go and just ask someone, hey, can you give us your money? You know, and it just doesn't work like that anymore. Too many people are doing it, so it's a turnoff. So I pride myself on creating those friendships at the end of the day. And then how I assess my investors, if when I'm ready to pitch them, there's a lot of elements. I call it the psychograph of them. Are they a numbers focused person? Are they in the financial side of the fund or the firm? Or are they the person that is really intrigued by the hero of the story, the mission, the value of what the company is about and what challenge they're solving? And I actually create my presentations for my clients and their decks. I most of the time have them redo them, and they create two decks. One is with numbers first, the financials or the trajectory or traction, how much they've raised, and then the team and story and mission, or and then I switch it up depending on who it is. And when we have webinars that we produce where we bring investors into it, and I won't bring two different types of investors' mindsets into the room. It's always one. So our client will probably do the same pitch of a webinar, but with the first starting off, are they speaking and pitching with the investor that has the number minded first? Or are they speaking with the investor and pitching to the ones that are hero and journey minded first? Yeah. Because no one likes their time wasted these days. And I'm very cognizant of that as well.
Yeah, good point. What would you say? Obviously, 2022 is coming to a close. There's been a lot of crazy stuff that's happened. Um, there's a ton of things, a ton going on in the world. Um, where do you see, the investment world going from, in 2023?
I've noticed that a lot of family offices are now wanting to break out into other markets and industries that they were all that outside of what they've always been comfortable in, which has been your real estate or your healthcare, things of this nature. I believe like digital assets or alternatives or
Mhm.
tech, fintech, femtech, green tech, agro. I think those are starting to get more of a play now. Well, agro tech, because they've always liked agro, but
I think the tech is just it's so advanced right now. I think people still need to kind of learn more about what's being developed because there's a whole world out there opening up now with Web3 and the possibilities on blockchain. And that's a lot of the companies that we our portfolio clients are like into like innovative tech, and it's really awesome. I think it's definitely the future.
Awesome. So when we had talked previous, we'd mentioned gaming. So let's talk a little bit about gaming, if you can. What part of would you say your business, your fund, your focus is gaming, and why?
I'll say a little bit, but we had a call with potentially a new client that's coming on board with us. That I'll have Isabella share its unique attributes about to the people that are watching. Uh, Gaming is when I was younger. I played video games. I had Sega. I did your Call of Duty and so forth. But then at a certain age, like 13, 14, kind of like lost that interest. But after seeing the past couple weeks some gaming deal flow that we've had come across our table, it's really fun and interactive in the fact that you aren't just playing a game, but it's like learn to earn, play to earn. You're building, a community of your own little NFTs. The characters. It's just it's there's a lot of edutainment to it as well. So it does. I can see where it keeps your right and left brain moving, and the graphics and the CGI, and it's really advanced. I mean, they're taking high level Hollywood film making and adding it to these games, and it's just becoming more and more real life. So I that's where I'm liking it and seeing where it's going.
Speaking about that, that reminds me of when I used to play a lot of Call of Duty, and specifically Modern Warfare. I would spend hours and hours trying to unlock camos for guns because I wanted to get all of the guns gold. I think I spent around 13 or 14 days on the game, like with all the hours combined, trying to get Damascus, which is all the guns gold. And that wasn't even tied to an NFT or anything that was actually mine or a part of my account. So I think that giving games this type of asset is really cool. It's really intriguing. It's definitely a motivator for gamers. We like to share like, oh, I have the coolest skin and this. So I think it's just going to add to the world of gaming. I'm really excited to see where this takes off. We've heard from a lot of companies about these great ideas. So, just waiting on the execution, honestly.
Block Lords is who we had a call with today.
Can I say?
They come, yeah, yeah. Call
Oh, no,
with
go ahead. I
today,
didn't know.
and it's okay. And they come from the Hollywood industry originally. They were a part of Star Wars. They were a part of Disney. So they're creating these characters where you can become a king or a queen and own all this land, and you can grow wheat, and you can have raise your cattle, and you can build a family of your of your siblings or your children of princesses and princes, and raise them, and they're all your little baby NFTs, and it's just, and then they're creating mini episodes that they're actually going to stream on your Netflixes or Hulus and so forth. And then if you're involved in that game, you can then be a part of the show that actually gets out there on streaming to be watched as a normal TV episode as your character. So it's going to evolve, and I think it's pretty awesome. I think more women need to get involved. We're helping them with their staffing. We have a few staffing partners on the East Coast and West Coast because their female leads aren't there. They are actively seeking, but they're having a difficulty. So I think this is a shout out to all the women that are in gaming and have always been told that it's never be a job. Like, it's there.
Okay, you had mentioned that. Yeah, so it's interesting. What would you say about the pushback from the general gaming market in regards to NFTs like the Web 2 gaming market in regards to NFTs?
I would go ahead. You can go if you would like.
No,
I'll
go
add
ahead,
to whatever
Isabel.
you say after.
No, go
I
ahead.
would say that most of the games out there were just kind of not fully developed. They were just developed for profits, and that's like a lot of NFT projects too that don't perform well. And gamers, they really appreciate the game. They don't really care much about um, that side of it, whereas a developer would focus on, oh, I want the NFT to do well. So the reason why Block Lords is so intriguing and amazing is because they really care about the game. The game is the main focus, and the NFT just is like the icing on top. So I believe that when more games are developed that actually incorporate NFTs in a correct way and execute it properly, then the gaming community will come around. But crypto and blockchain, these types of people communicate on Discord, which is a gaming platform normally. Like gamers normally communicate on there. I know all the Twitch streamers have their servers there. So I think that it's bound to mesh together. It's just time.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I I did a another podcast with a VC specialist who handles Web3, and basically he echoed the same thing where he basically said that, we're just at this point we're just kind of waiting. We've seen some stuff, but it's not really sustainable. And it's kind of lost the interest of gamers because it was real profit focused and not so much game focused. And right now we're kind of waiting on that next killer app. And
Yeah.
once that comes, we're going to see a lot more adoption.
Hmm. Very much so.
All right. Well, let's talk about, when we originally met, you'd also mentioned that, a lot of the reason that you're doing this is not just purely for profit, but you had, kind of a greater mission in mind. Why don't we touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, ever since I was little, there's just something inside of me that just wanted to help humanity, help people, and as I got older, I realized what it was, and it was there's so many challenges and and problems that are out there with our oceans, our airs, our forests, our countries and their citizens and villages and so forth. And I just feel that becoming wealthy is not really for me materialistically. Of course, it's a cherry on top, but I want to reinvest my own funds into people and projects that are solving our planet's problems. If you Google my name, you'll see like photos of me from back in the day that have my slogan, "It's never problems, always solutions." And my grandmother put me in meditation school when I was 15, so I'm 37 now. I've been meditating for a while, and it's just as long as I just keep getting that vision, and it's there, and so I can see it happening. So I'm excited to get our fund launched and then take those winnings and reinvest into some really great innovative people and projects that are cleaning our oceans and cleaning our air and so forth. So I was very lucky to stumble upon Flare and help reduce our emissions on our planet. So I want to be able to continue things like that.
Yeah, that's really cool. I feel the exact same way. I think we got a lot of issues and things that we need to solve, and there's a lot of there's a lot of people out there that have the funds to help and can help, um, and it's just a matter of coordinating and leveraging that.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a few companies and projects that I'm involved with where I'm really excited about them in that space. One of our clients, Charitables, is the world's first NGO tokenization platform. So, bridging the gap from the older generation that would just write checks, to now the newer generation that can trade in their tokens and invest them into an NGO, Red Cross, UNICEF, whatever, or create their own charity easily and put it on the platform. And then yesterday, I was just invited to participate at the World Economic Forum at a particular event called House of Balance, where leaders from around the world that are in the healing space, like your Deepaks and your Sadhgurus, will be there discussing how we can take our tools of meditating and healing and apply it to the economy of our planet. So that's going to be an exciting topic coming up.
That's incredible. Isabella, you got anything you want to touch on that?
I'm glad to be a part of it. I'm glad that I'm part of a company who has missions that align to what I believe in, you know? So that's all I could say about that. I haven't contributed as much as I would like to, but this is a step forward.
Yeah, it's not always you don't always have to come to the table with money. Everybody can help in their own way, and sometimes, that can include, doing, but it can also include just, raising awareness about issues. Let me see. So Isabel, I want to talk a little bit about the social media component. Obviously, that's kind of where your expertise lies. You'd mentioned that you hop from platform to platform, creating, I can't remember the term you used for it, but you obviously you create spaces where people can do things.
Yeah,
Talk about.
Communities.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly how you put it,
communities.
but
Yeah.
yeah, communities,
So,
communities, perfect, perfect. Um, but you'd mentioned that you hop from platform to platform, and you went to TikTok and then Instagram and Twitch and stuff like that. What would you say, obviously you've been successful at it. What would you say your process has been and similarities between, when you jump onto a platform and, obviously there's little differences here and there, but just wondering if you could just kind of talk about all that stuff.
yeah, of course. I think that the biggest advice I would give to someone who's trying to build a platform is sometimes it's better to be a big fish in a small pond. And what I mean by that is that with all of my platforms, I tried to reach an audience that was undersaturated in content. So there wasn't a lot of people creating content of that nature and hitting that market. So it was like niche demographics. And I think that's why I excelled so well because once you get a few people that are really interested, it's like a snowball and it keeps growing and growing and growing. So just looking at disparities, for instance, with YouTube, I saw that a lot of content from foreign people speaking in English did very well in the United States, like um, English people trying American candy or things like this. And I realized that there aren't Americans that are learning other languages in order to create that type of content for, Brazil. So that's what I did. I did American tries Brazilian food, but I spoke in Portuguese. So I did the same type of content, but flipped it on its head. And that market was undersaturated because there weren't a lot of Americans creating that type of content. And so that's why it performed so well. So yeah, that would be my biggest advice is to look at what people want and try to do that.
Absolutely. From a from a business standpoint, I would say that that's also the case. You never want to start a business if you don't have any customers or demand. So I guess it
Mhm.
makes sense on the social media marketing side as well. Um, what would you say, the how much of the technical aspect of, the social medias come into play as well? You've got hashtags and all this sort of stuff. I mean, how much of your focus goes to, the algorithms and the technical and stuff like that, as opposed to, the stuff that you just mentioned?
Um, Probably 70% goes to the technical. The 30% demand is important, of course, but execution is way more important. These algorithms are very sophisticated. They're learning more and more as more users are creating content and engaging with the content. I learned through trial and error. I started TikTok back when it was Musically. I've seen the algorithm change completely. Inside of the creator world, we have conspiracy theories as to, oh, don't post in the morning, post late at night, or there was one where we would shut off the app and it would send us more notifications and make our videos do better to get us to go look at the app. So there's all of this you know, comments about the algorithm, but there are strategies to keep retention time, to generate more comments, to boost the videos, and that's a big role in the success of a channel. So it's a lot of trial and error and understanding, okay, this video did well, but why? What about this video did well? Let me replicate that, and then you kind of start to figure out what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think a lot of people just jump on Google and say, all right, well, what are some strategies for how to post on TikTok? And that may or may not be true, may or may not have been relevant uh, a month ago, 6 months ago. But with everything changing, it's sort of like at the end of the day, you're probably better off just, dropping some content out there, watching how it improves, dropping some more content out there, you know, seeing similarities and doing your own analytics, and then just having your own kind of organic growth from there.
I 100%
I
agree.
think I think being an influencer applies to other areas of life and business where when you fail, you have to keep trying because every failure is a learning experience and a time to gain more knowledge and wisdom from it. And a lot of people get discouraged when they fail. And so I think that's why it takes someone that's very unique and has grit, because not everyone's born with it. But to be able to take the hits and put all this effort in something and just to not have it show any results. It's the same for the capital raising world. I've come up with my own algorithm, and that is it's about roughly 44 VCs or funds it takes to pitch to get to one yes, and roughly about 22 pitches to angels or high net worth to get to one yes. So that's the kind of number that I've found. So it's all a numbers game at the end of the day. Yeah.
Um, okay, so now's the time when I would like both of you just try to tell me just something that you're kind of excited and passionate about, something that you think, if there's anything else you think our, kind of our viewers would kind of want to know.
Uh, to be on the lookout for the end of 2023, 2024, a docu-series called Crypto Miami that's going to be coming out. I'm executive producer of. We basically have been filming all of the leaders and change makers and in the blockchain Web3 crypto space here in South Florida, interviewing them, getting their take on what's happening. Especially, we just started filming right around FTX and then why Miami has become such a staple. And we have interviews from some really amazing people that I think everyone's going to want to tune into. So that's coming out. And then we're going to do them all over the world, continuing the docu-series for crypto UK, crypto Portugal, crypto Dubai, crypto Brazil, so forth. So it'll be a nice few years of running great content and educating the masses on and hearing it from everyday people as well.
I would say that they should definitely check out our socials at Sacral Capital. We'll keep updates there and also show our awesome clients and talk about our brands and stuff. It's really cool. I think you guys would love it. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, we only launched 3 months ago, so we were a little bit ahead of the game. We had more deal flow than we didn't even market, and all referral based, and so now we need to ramp up our social. So, and
Yeah.
Isabella's going to take that.
Awesome. Natural segue here. What would you say, if anybody wants to get a hold of you guys, other than the socials, is there any other way that's good for you?
I would just say invest at sacralcapital.com is the best way. And then sacralcapital.com is our website. Yeah.
All right, Brandi and Isabella, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for being on the show. I think our viewers are all going to be really interested and looking forward to this content. So thank you so much again. And yeah, you guys have a great day.
Thanks for having us
Thank
on
you.
Fungified. You're amazing. Appreciate it.